I just wanted to welcome everyone to really what is the closing event for SIP 2023. I was tempted initially to say a little bit about the program, but I'm going to save that until after our speakers have talked about their experiences. So this is SIP's quinceañera. SIP is 15 years old today. It's a wonderful celebration. It's already been a wonderful celebration of research talks. And I'm going to kick this session off by handing it over to Tia Abusnene. And Tia's going to say a few words, and then I'll introduce each speaker. And you can put your notes here if you want, Tia, right here. Be careful of the trip hazard there. And I'll give you this one. That's good. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tia Abusnene, a 14-year-old intern in Physics 03. I'm from Rosary Sisters High School in Jerusalem, Israel. Allow me to start by representing my cherished homeland, Jerusalem, in the heart of Palestine, a land rich in history and culture, where the Wailing Wall, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and the Dome of the Rock stand as symbols of unity among the three Abrahamic religions. In SIP, I had the privilege of sharing the vibrant tapestry of Palestinian culture, from the tantalizing flavors of our cuisine to the spirited rhymes of the dabke, a dance that embodies our collective joy and unity. Additionally, zeytuzata, a beloved dish, and the qanun, a musical instrument with deep roots. My experience in SIP has been nothing short of exceptional, filled with countless moments of learning, growth, and unforgettable moments. One of the most remarkable aspects of my SIP journey was the opportunity to immerse myself in the laboratory and clean room environment, guided by my exceptional mentor, Hem Prasad Pusal. Working alongside Hem Prasad Pusal was a privilege beyond measure. Under his mentorship, I delved into the fantastic world of including magnetism in non-magnetic two-dimensional materials. This journey was not only intellectually stimulating, but also profoundly enriching. I wasn't alone in this journey. Two remarkable interns, Ethan and Oscar, joined me on this challenging yet rewarding project. Together, we formed a dedicated team, each bringing unique strengths and perspectives to the table. The collaborative spirit and shared passion for the discovery within our group were instrumental in our project's success. Beyond the academic sphere, SIP offered me a chance to create lasting connections with individuals from all across the world, like Adeline from China. From sharing ideas with fellow students to collaborating with researchers and professors, I witnessed the power of diverse perspectives coming together. The vibrant community fostered by SIP allowed me to transcend cultural boundaries and engage in meaningful conversations that enriched both my personal and academic life. Speaking of enrichment, SIP arranged a series of events that turned my summer into an unforgettable experience. For example, who can forget the Halloween in August where I transformed into Alvin, or the Christmas in July where I completed it with a crochet octopus and a SIP sign. And let's not overlook the glamorous Barbie prom, where we all felt like stars of our own movie. Every sports day taught me the essence of teamwork, from volleyball to Newcomb, and the numerous recreational activities like hikes, beach days, paint nights, and karaoke sessions. They all added up to a touch of adventure to our journey. The management of SIP, led by Professor Raja, Anand Valeria, and the team of RAs and PAs, cannot be praised enough. They meticulously arranged every activity, ensured our safety, and were remarkably reliable and responsible. A shining example of their dedication was the care they provided me when I experienced a really bad toothache. They went above and beyond to ensure I received the best medical attention, highlighting their commitment to our well-being and comfort. SIP has been a transformative experience that has empowered me with knowledge, skill, and friendships that would last me a lifetime. From academic achievements to unforgettable moments, SIP has truly been a holistic journey of self-discovery and exploration. As I move forward, I carry with me the invaluable lessons and cherished moments ready to embrace the challenges that lie ahead. As I look back on my SIP experience, I'm filled with gratitude for all the people who made it possible, the friends I made, the mentors who guided me, the organizers who put in tireless efforts. Each had an instrumental role in shaping my journey. Today, I extend a heartfelt thank you to every individual who contributed to this remarkable summer of growth, learning, and joy. And a special thank you to my mentor, Hem Prasad Rusal, my fellow interns, Ethan and Oscar, and Anand, Valeria, Raja, the RAs, the PAs, for their exceptional management and unwavering support, and my friends from all around the world for this amazing experience.
Tia, thank you very much. Next, I'm going to invite Maya Reddy, who keeps reminding us how different Texas is from Santa Cruz. I'll let her say it in her own words. Thank you, Maya, for agreeing to speak.
Hi, my name is Maya Reddy, and I'm 16 years old from Austin, Texas. And I was an intern in MCD03 Neuronal Population Encoding this summer. When I reflect back on the past 8 weeks as SIP, I think of a few things. I think of the lab, the people I met, the mistakes I made, but most of all, I think about the lessons I learned. I remember when I first moved into the dorms, the first thing I had to learn was how to put fitted sheets on a top bunk. This was part of the SIP experience, figuring out how to handle things on my own. SIP was the first time I'd ever been away from home or my family for an extended period of time. It was definitely a learning curve, acclimating to a new place on my own. I definitely struggled with some basic things. I was notoriously bad at remembering the dining hall hours, but I excelled at getting lost in the forest. I think the first time I had to do my laundry, I must have called my mom 12 times to ask her for help. But as much as I struggled, I learned, and when I needed help, I found amazing people at SIP. I remember on the second day of SIP, I of course managed to miss all of the dining hall hours, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And when I mentioned this to one of the RAs, Karan, he promptly DoorDashed me a generous meal at Panda Express. And my good friend Amelia, she would always text me whenever it was time to eat or bring me food if she knew I was working. SIP taught me to practice independence, but at the same time, I always had a support system to fall back on. Aside from personal growth, I also learned so much working in my projects. I have always been an avid biology enthusiast ever since I was little. Going to a Texas public high school, majority of the learning is done with textbooks or lectures. And so when I came to SIP, I wanted to have the hands-on in-person lab experience. And that's exactly what I got. My first day in the lab, I got my own lab coat and I was so excited. And I went to the bathroom and I took a picture for my mom. My friends would joke the first week that I was already practically working a 9 to 5. And while it's true, I spent long hours in the lab, I loved every second of it. I loved getting to use new machines and learning new techniques. I loved when problems started to arise in our project and I had to actively think about how to fix them. I loved the environment in the lab. The Feldheim lab was full of friendly people who were always willing to help or talk about their experiences in academia. And of course, I have to credit my wonderful experience in research to my mentor, Dr. Brian Mullen. I think one thing SIP excelled at was providing mentors who cared about their interns and giving opportunities to them. From the beginning, Dr. Mullen was so enthusiastic and he'd answer any and all of my questions. He made sure Mark, the other intern, and I got to contribute wholly to the project. He went out of his way to get us new opportunities. If we wanted to do something or observe something, he would make it happen. And on top of being an exceptional mentor, he also went out of his way to take us for lunch every Friday, take us on trips to the beach in downtown Santa Cruz, and overall made our experience a blast. And aside from my project, living at SIP gave me so many wonderful memories. When Anand asked me if I would talk about my experience at SIP, we were all at Eastfield hanging out. I was with my good friend Molly, and we had been making plans to get Korean barbecue the next day. We were in matching UCSC sweatshirts. The sun was setting, and it was one of those moments that makes you pause and think about how good life can be. I had so many of these moments at SIP, so many memories I would never replace. Going to the boardwalk, debating the significance of the Barbie movie, playing volleyball at Eastfield after years of avoiding sports, walking around this beautiful redwood preserve and probably being at my most physically active because of it, kissing banana slugs, karaoke, learning how to gamble and losing all my imaginary money. If I could do it all again, the only thing I would change is I would ask for a bottom bunk. One of my most significant moments at SIP was when I was on the phone with my mom and I had asked her what it was like having her only child away. And she said, Maya, I think this summer you proved that regardless of where you go or what you do, you will be okay. I'm extraordinarily grateful for the summer and how I was able to grow both professionally and personally. SIP has been one of the most formative experiences of my life, and I will never forget it or the people I met. Thank you to Professor Raja for helming this amazing program and providing this opportunity to so many high school students like me. I also want to thank Anand. He was everything to everyone, and he always did it with a smile on his face. And thank you all for being here. Now.
I suspect there are going to be a few tears before the day is over. I suspect there will be. We may as well prepare for it. I think next up we have Jose, and then we'll go to you, Zoe, next. Jose, come on up, please. And, please introduce yourselves because I'm too overwhelmed to introduce anyone at this point. I can barely keep my head up. But Jose, thank you for agreeing to speak.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Well, my name is José Carlos Espinel, and I am art professor at Universidad Complutense de Madrid in Spain. I'm also international scholar at UCSC Open Lab Collaborative Research Center, and I have spent the past few months working on several projects related to art and science. And I want to talk a little bit about my experience as a mentor here in this program. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Raja and his team, Anand and Lindsay, for the guidance throughout this journey. Their support has been invaluable, and they have truly made me feel at home within the science internship program. Their dedication for fostering a collaborative and enriching learning environment has been a driving force behind our achievements. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to the entire IT team here at UCSC for their efforts in providing seamless access to Canvas for the interns. Their behind-the-scenes work ensured that the technological aspects of our project ran smoothly, allowing us to focus on the important task of mentoring. Also, a special mention goes to the Science and Engineering Library, and in particular to Christy Golubevsky-Davis, the director of the University Library Center for the Digital Scholarship Commons. Their support and training in 3D printing technologies have opened up new horizons for our interns and added a dynamic dimension to their learning experience. The willingness to share their resources, such as the 3D printers and their extensive knowledge, highlights their commitment to innovation and education. Also, a heartfelt acknowledgement is owed to Professor Jennifer Barker from the art department, whose role in connecting me with Professor Raja and the SIP program is truly commendable. About 15 years ago, and during my days as graduate student at UCSC, Professor Parker served as my mentor, and her influence has endured over time. Not only do I still consider her my mentor, but she has also become a dear friend of mine. Over the past 8 weeks, I have had the privilege to working with a group of exceptional interns. As we delve into a collaborative project, I was astounded by the students' enthusiasm, curiosity, and innovative thinking. Their fresh perspectives often challenge my own assumptions, pushing me to explore new avenues of thought. And it reminded me that learning is not confined to a single direction. It is a dynamic, fluid process where teachers also become learners. The experience of working side by side with high school students was refreshing. The diversity of ideas that emerged from our collaboration demonstrated the power of interdisciplinary thinking and the boundless potential that emerges when 9 people from different backgrounds come together to solve complex problems. The collaborative spirit displayed by everyone involved has not only enhanced the intern's experience, but also deepened my own understanding of the value of teamwork and shared knowledge. It's important to acknowledge the exceptional effort put forth by the SIP team to create a safe and nurturing environment for the interns. The side activities, which has already been talked about, designed to foster a sense of community and family, have been instrumental in breaking down barriers and forming bonds. This approach underscores the program's international perspective. The values that the SIP program upholds are precisely the values that the world needs more of today. In a world that sometimes feels divided, this program stands as a testament to the fact that we are all fundamentally the same. United by our desire to learn, grow, and contribute positively to our surroundings. The emphasis on collaboration, inclusivity, and respect for diverse perspectives paves the way for a harmonious global community. As we look to the future, it becomes evident that these interns are not just the next generation. They are the future architects of our world. The lessons they learn, the connections they make, and the values they hold will reverberate for generations to come. Now that I'm going back to my homeland, I want to thank you all for your unwavering support, dedication, and the lessons you have taught me along the way. It is an honor to be part of such a remarkable community that values education, collaboration, and the pursuit of knowledge. I am looking forward to meeting up again in the future, and I'm really excited about the current years of the SIP program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Richard. Zoe, I'll have you come up next. Both Zoe and Jose are first-time mentors in the SIP program, but you wouldn't know it. They mentored like they've been doing, because they've been mentors in SIP their whole lives. So let me hand it over to you, Zoe. Thank you for agreeing to speak.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And thank you to all of our students for the amazing presentations you gave. I was lucky enough to be a session chair in room 6, so I got to see a nice handful of everyone, and they were so impressive. Everything blew me away. My name is Zoe Sprout, as Raja mentioned. This is my first year at SIP, and this previous year was actually my first year at UC Santa Cruz. I was born and raised in Hawaii. And you know, I don't look it. I am the whitest person you'll ever see. But I'm from Hawaii, and truthfully, I really missed Hawaii a lot. Not so much the place itself, but the environments I got to be in. My mom is an English teacher, a high school English teacher, and I grew up with her inspiring students left and right, and I got to do some of that too. But when I came to Santa Cruz, I didn't really have the same opportunities to do that. I got to TA some upper level classes, but not really anything at this level. And so it's such an honor to be back here to work with high school students, high school interns who are so capable and so qualified. But here's the thing, why is literature in a science internship program? It's great. I love that it is. But I will be honest, the first and second time I got emails calling for applicants for mentors, I ignored it. It immediately went in the bin because I thought the science internship program isn't really relevant for a literature student, for someone that's doing literary research. Eventually, And thankfully, the Civ team sent out many emails because one of them eventually got through to me. And I saw that they were calling for people from all areas, which was really fascinating to me. And it sounded really exciting, but it also sounded really confusing because literature isn't really something you think about as an internship sort of thing. Literary studies doesn't feel, or it didn't feel to me before this, as conducive to group work or to internship work. And so I really fundamentally had to rethink as I was going through, because I decided this sounded like a fun thing to do, but I had to really think about how I was going to do this. And so really three big things came up. First of all, how can I adapt my work for mentoring? I do pop culture studies. For those of you who may have glanced at the projects, I'm the anime project. Our group was focused on Hunter x Hunter, Japanese manga and anime, and it was a fantastic experience. But I had to think about how I could adapt my work, which usually is done very quietly in a library, completely holed up for several hours at a time, and how to adapt that so I could work with interns and actually be a mentor. So that was a challenge. And then on top of that, I really had to think about how I could turn this into something that gave individual interns an opportunity to shine, but also involved group work, because that's so important to an internship process, that kind of working as an entire group. And then finally, this question sounds very harsh when it's put on a slide, but I had to think about how literary research could help anyone. And I mean that in the sense of many of you who entered the program didn't know that literature was going to be on the agenda anywhere. And I really had to think in terms of, okay, I'm probably going to be getting a lot of interns who are very interested in STEM. And I'm going to be asking them to do literary analysis for an entire summer. How am I going to do that in a way that is really helpful to them? And so really, what it came down to, and please enjoy this flashback photo of me from my undergrad, what it came down to was thinking about what it meant to have a mentor. For me, as an undergrad student, I didn't really have a mentor. And even when one was assigned to me, because I did an undergrad research project, I was really intimidated by her, and she didn't really do too much to guide me along the process. She's an amazing scholar, an amazing person, and I did learn quite a bit from her, but it didn't really feel like a mentor-mentee relationship. And so because of that experience, I thought a lot about what would really have helped me in a mentor. And I genuinely just really longed to have someone like grab me and guide me in what was a really confusing field. In grad school, I was lucky enough to find a mentor, Dr. Derek Higginbotham at the University of Hawaii, an amazing, amazing scholar. And he helped me to grow so much. I am the person I am here because of him. And so much of what I put into mentoring was this mixture of thinking in terms of what I was missing out on as a mentor, or as a mentee, and what I got from this great mentor I had. So in that sense, it came down to thinking about the problems that I had encountered that I would have really liked a mentor to help me along with. The first problem was that for a very long time, I was terrified of asking questions, mostly because I thought that admitting I didn't know something meant that people would think I was dumb, which is absolutely not the case. Questions are so important. And I didn't really start really learning until I got comfortable saying, hey, this seems interesting, but I have no idea what it's about. Please help me. And so what I wanted to do as a mentor was to prioritize questions over answers, and CIP gave an amazing space to do this. It was important to admit when I didn't have an answer, because many times I've had professors who say, you bring up a really good question, I'm not entirely sure, let's talk about it. And that moment of let's talk about it is where the process of research comes in. And so it was beautiful and amazing to be able to do that with these interns. I also had a problem in that I didn't know where to look to find information before I had a mentor. I was kind of at sea, and if you go to Google Scholar and you look up pop culture theory, you get a bajillion answers to that. And so there had to be a place to start, and it took a long time to know where that was. So what I wanted to do as a mentor was highlight key scholarship for them, but also encourage individual research while providing guided readings. So I have guided readings, but I also introduced interns, or tried to Google Scholar and to looking for information on their own as well, because it's important to go out of your way and find some weird and wonky sources. Sometimes those are the most helpful ones out there. And then finally, as an undergrad, I didn't feel challenged. And then once I got to grad school, I was overwhelmed. It was like all of these things that everyone told me in undergrad were way above my level. Suddenly in grad school, I was expected to know how to do it all and understand it all, and I just didn't. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that I challenged my interns, but I didn't want to push them too hard. However, I think that us as mentors and scholars, educators, anything, there's this tendency to be worried about overestimating students. Most of the time, I have found that underestimating is the problem. Last summer, I taught a sixth grade creative writing course, and constantly I was told, I can tell that you're a PhD student because this is way above your level. And constantly, every week, the students ask me for more challenging material, more and more and more. And that's what I found, that in encouraging my interns this summer at SIP to be challenged, they rose above and beyond my expectations. It was amazing. So finally, let's return to that question of why literature in SIP. And really, why any of these programs? Because SIP now is moving towards a STEM and humanities total interdisciplinary mixture, which is great. And so I think in any project that you look at in our project guidelines, you can see that there's critical thinking and research skills that are being taught across the board that are so important. Working independently as part of a team is so significant as well. And finally, analyzing massive amounts of complex data. When you think of complex data, you don't often think of literature, but 148 episodes of an anime is a lot of data to go through. And it's an amazing skill to be able to go through those and to figure out, this is important, I want to talk about this. It's amazing to me that my interns were able to pick out maybe 5 or 6 quotes from that entire series of roughly 74 hours and come up with these beautiful projects just based on that. And so those are such important skills. Finally, the biggest thing is that SIP teaches and allows us as mentors too to keep experiencing the joy of discovery. There are so few programs out there that allow scholars, especially people that are early in their career, to do research for the sake of research, rather than to do it for deliverables, like an article or a presentation or something on those terms. It was amazing to come to SIP and be told, hey, just do some research with these interns and have a good time. And so it was this amazingly free experience. On top of that, I was forced to rethink how literary research can look. Literature labs as a thing are not really common, and research internships don't really exist in the field, at least not very much, not in this regard. And so SIP really allowed me to take what I saw as a solitary field and really imagine what it could look like opened up to a community. And for that, I'm really forever grateful. SIP has truly changed how I think about doing my own literary research as well. And I am genuinely so excited for SIP next year. I think 4 weeks ago, I was already excited for next year too. And so I'm really glad that I got to be a mentor this year, and really glad that you all got to be here as well. So thank you so much for listening. Have a great day and great rest of everything.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Tia.
Richard. I'll call it Richard.
All right, Richard, the floor is yours, and thank you for letting me speak, Richard. You should be, you're going to pin you, you're on the screen. And again, thank you, Richard, thank you for agreeing to speak. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Osio Nagada, Dakwadoa Richard York, Ayachi Chalagi. Hello, everyone. My name is Richard York. I'm Cherokee and I'm a citizen of Cherokee Nation. My family and I reside in Sequoia County, Cherokee Nation. The Cherokee Nation Reservation spans 14 counties in northeastern Oklahoma. My family and I are considered as part of the rural community of Muldrow, Oklahoma, which is a town of a population of about 3,400 people. And we live outside city limits, so we're pretty out here. First of all, I want to acknowledge and express my gratitude to Dr. Guha Dukurta and the SIP team for inviting me to speak today. More importantly, I want to thank you for inviting our children, Sage and Phoenix York, to participate in SIP this summer. During SIP, Sage and Phoenix stayed at the UC Santa Cruz campus for 5 weeks. They followed this up with online participation for the rest of their internships. They were able to do this through the hybrid SIP model. Sage's research focused on understanding the genetic mechanism of fluoroquinolone resistance, and Phoenix explored applied artificial intelligence in self-driving cars. The impact of SIP for them was immeasurable. SIP provided Sage and Phoenix with exposure to new people, ideas, and real-world problems. They collaborated with sharp, like-minded students and mentors from all over the world to contribute to real research. They embraced challenges, sought answers, and developed collaboration and communication skills. It broadened their perspectives. SIP expanded their curiosity, influencing how they approach life and how they see the world. Participation in SIP also encouraged them to develop their skills in tolerance. They grew personally. Sage and Phoenix gained new insight through new connections, information, and experiences. I witnessed their growth in balancing their goals and responsibilities. This experience began to prepare them for college life, fostering balancing hard work, fun, learning, and extracurricular activities. They also overcame challenges. Sharing about his internship experience, Phoenix stated, "It pushed me to be more responsible for my time management and to create my own structure and be self-sufficient to be successful in my research." He faced challenges due to gaps in his programming skills. He overcame these by connecting with peers and learning from them and by studying. He said, "SIP taught me to be responsible for myself and my endeavors." Sage confronted challenges as well, missing friends, pets, and family, and her work at a veterinary clinic back home. The hybrid portion of the internship posed communication challenges for her with her peers and her mentor. She persevered and worked these out. She said, "I overcame challenges by staying in the moment and embracing the opportunities that the SIP experience provided me." A huge upside for her was meeting people from all over the world and strengthening her global perspective and understanding. She communicated that her biggest growth came from her effort to connect with others, to speak up for herself and her ideas, to make connections and put herself out there. Sage found crucial advocates for her life goals in her research mentor and in other SIP team members. The SIP team's dedication was absolutely apparent to my wife, Rini, and I. Sage and Phoenix praised SIP's dedicated team for creating a supportive environment. They appreciated the dedication of the team members in creating and planning inclusive extracurricular activities that balanced enjoyment and learning. As a parent, I can tell you that's no small task for 3 kids, let alone a group as large as SIP. As parents, my wife and I felt completely at ease during our children's participation, again, due to the professionalism and dedication of the team and the supportive environment they created for the participating youth and their families. I tell my children, "You are the 7th generation our ancestors dreamt of." Going forward, I will say, this is the start of your time to face a complex world and do your best to build a world for the next 7 generations, like your ancestors did. Thank you to the entire SIP team for empowering youth from diverse backgrounds. Thank you for enabling them to face a challenging world and contribute to a better future for us all. Wado, thank you.
Richard, stay on for just another moment. I want people to admire the beautiful art that you didn't get to talk about. Richard is an amazing artist. And these are just a few examples of his stunning artwork. So this is another area of common interest for Richard and me. Thank you, Richard. Those were beautiful words. And I really
You're welcome, Raja. It's my pleasure and my honor. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have been a very well-behaved, may I say, quiet crowd. I want you to change all that because we have with us a very, very special person. She is UC Santa Cruz Chancellor. Cindy Larive has very kindly agreed to spend a few hours of a Saturday with the SIP program. Cindy, this is your first time with the SIP program, I believe. So please give a big SIP 2023 round of applause for Cindy.
Thank you, Raja, and thanks to all the presenters today in this session and the great sessions this morning. It's so impressive what you've accomplished. That this program is a real jewel for UC Santa Cruz. It has a transformational effect on students and helps to broaden their aspirations. And we heard about that from 2 of our speakers today. We have had about 1,800 high school students that have taken a part in this program over the last 15 years. And some of those young scholars have later on attended UC Santa Cruz, or while others have landed elsewhere in the UC system. That's so great for California. SIP is also a real boon for our campus. The program helps provide faculty with research support, and as you heard from our mentors, it also gives our graduate and undergraduate students and our postdoctoral scholars the opportunity to develop their leadership and their mentorship skills. And that has such an impact on our students. The ability to have that one-on-one experience with a mentor can really help to transform their trajectory. And of course, we benefit because we get to work with this amazing, talented group of students, the next generation of leaders that we need in research and we need for our country. SIP also raises the global visibility of the incredible research landscape here at UC Santa Cruz. And it highlights our commitment to making science and other research areas accessible to everyone. About 25% of our participants are from other countries, 29 in all, and another 15% come from outside the state of California. I would like to thank everyone who's here with us today, in person and on Zoom, and especially to thank you, Raja, for your vision and commitment to this program, and to your incredible team that has put the program together in today's event. I'd like to thank truly all the mentors of these incredible students. That's our faculty, our graduate and undergraduate students, and our postdocs. The mentorship aspect of this program is what makes it really work. And I'd like to thank especially the parents who supported our participants through this experience. Your guidance and your support means so much. And finally, I'd like to thank the donors who provide critical philanthropic support just help us sustain and scale this wonderful program. I'm going to turn it back over to Raja now to talk a little bit more about SIP. I just wanted to highlight that on your way out today, those of you who are in person, you'll get a little flyer that tells you more about SIP and about some of the umbrella programs that we have. So thank you, Raja.
And thank you, Cindy, and perfect segue. Cindy mentioned the flyer in support of SIP. I want to next call up one of someone who's been a huge support to the SIP program. Asha Guha has been a friend of SIP for about a decade now, and she's been the chair of our Parents Advisory Council. Asha's kindly agreed to say a few words, and then if you aren't tired enough of me, you'll hear from me after Asha.
I promise not to take too much of your time. I'm going to provide a different perspective from Richard because my child went to this program almost a decade ago. And I want to share some thoughts from my perspective from watching SIP grow. Do you know what the first class of SIP cohorts, how many students were there? 3, yes. Do you know today, the SIP 2023 cohort, how many students are there? Almost 393. I want you to digest the numbers from 3 to 393. When Roger started this program, students were selected from a few private schools in the San Francisco Bay Area. Roger and his team worked diligently and assiduously to make sure that access was open to all students. Students from public schools, students from historically marginalized communities, students of color, first-generation students, and students whose schools were under-resourced. Slowly and steadily, Roger and his team expanded access beyond SF, San Francisco Bay Area, to all over the continental United States and Hawaii. And then COVID happened in 2020. As you might know, it was a challenging time for institutions and programs that were offering summer opportunities for high school students. But a thing like a pandemic is not going to deter Raja and his team. He pivoted to offer the entire program online. And then I think in very remarkable manner, opened it up for any student in the world to join SIP. Today, SIP has a global footprint. I will take a moment to recognize some of our international students. We have a student from Ghana. I'm not sure if they're here. We have a student from Israel. We have a student from Kosovo. We have a student from Palestine. And we have student delegations from Turkey. When the program started, given Raja's background, the focus of research was in the physical sciences and biological sciences. He slowly expanded to quantitative fields like computer science, statistics, mathematics. Then it evolved to social sciences. And today, he has a rich plethora of offerings in the humanities and the arts. I and my family have been a big supporter of SIP for over a decade for precisely these reasons. SIP offers an exceptional opportunity for high school students to excel. And you've heard all the experiences of this year's batch of students. Each of you, like me, are SIP ambassadors. So my ask of you as you step out of this room is to do everything you can to talk about your SIP experience and to support the wonderful work that Raja and his team, Anand and Lindsay, who are not here, continue to do. I hope you'll join me in supporting SIP and continuing to make sure that this program thrives and flourishes so that more students can be part of the SIP community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asha. You know, it's been said, you know, Zoe mentioned this, several others have mentioned this, that SIP is about research, right? And one of my colleagues at Stanford, Jill Helms, I'm going to quote her. I'm going to quote a couple of other people today. Jill used to say, it's not called search, it's called research, because you don't find it the first time. You got to keep looking and looking and looking. So it's very aptly, and we're not going to remove the word research from our description anytime soon. It's always going to be about open-ended problem solving. I did want the 4 students from Ghana to put up their hands, please. There's not 1, but 4. You have a gaggle of students from Turkey. Can you put up your hands, please? Are there students from Turkey here? How many students from Turkey? They've all left. They have to catch their flight, of course. But we have, I think we have 11 students from one school in Turkey in this year's program, just to give you a sense of scale. 11 students from one particular high school in Turkey. Can the students from Israel and Palestine please put up their hands? I know you haven't left. You have an 8 p.m. flight tonight. Where are they? Where's Tia? Where's Bushra, Malak? Oh, they've gone to Prague. Okay. We have 8 students from Israel, Palestine, 6 Palestinian students, 2 Israeli students, and we have 4 students from Kosovo. Are they here? They've gone to Prague. Okay. Oh, well. All right. So we're going to go back to the reading slides first. The ones that you showed earlier. This one. All right. So I promised I'd give you a quick summary of where SIP stands.
Some reason so my thing is not sharing up there.
Sorry, just a couple of technical.
When you're ready with the PowerPoint.
Okay, so as you know, SIP is very much about cutting edge, authentic, no longer STEM, no longer science, but STEAM research projects. Close mentoring is a big part of this. The reason the program has grown is purely because of mutual benefit. It's not just beneficial to the high school students. It's not just beneficial to the mentors. It's beneficial to both. It's a distributed and very challenging format. No 2 students experience the same thing, and that's a hugely difficult thing to manage. We were completely online during the 3 years of the pandemic, 2020, 21, and 22. And we said we'd try this experiment of going hybrid in 2023. We still haven't figured out whether this experiment worked. We're going to assess things afterwards, and if it hasn't worked, we won't go back to online, but we'll go back to in-person, fully in-person or mostly in-person. If we feel it has worked, we'll continue with hybrid. Here are some numbers. 394, one more than Asha said, sorry. 394. Every year, about 15 to 20% of our interns are returning interns. They've done SIP before. We have 211 different high schools represented in this year's program alone. On average, 2 students per high school. Of course, it's a very strange looking distribution. One of the high schools has 24 students. That's the Harker School where SIP started. And most high schools have 1 student each. For 211 high schools, of which 120 are represented in SIP for the first time this year. About 60% of our students, a little over 60% of our students, are from the wonderful state of California. not all from the Bay Area, of course, Southern California, Central California, parts that are quite far away from Santa Cruz, actually, and many from within a 100-mile radius of UC Santa Cruz. As Asha mentioned and Cindy mentioned, 15% of our students, 59 students in particular this year, are from other states. 21 other US states, so 22 total, including California, are represented in the program. About a quarter of our students, so 91 students out of 394, are international interns. International because their school is not in the US, or their home is not in the US, or both. We do have a student who's from Peru, whose home is in Peru, whose school is all the way in Israel. So we have two students whose homes are in Egypt, whose schools are in South Africa. So we have these remarkable stories. SIP is all about stories. It's not just about these numbers. So I'm really selling it short just by giving you numbers. But these 91 international interns represent 24 other countries, so 25 countries, including the US. 121 projects, 24 subject areas across the 5 main academic divisions at UCSC: arts, humanities, social sciences, physical and biological sciences, which is where my department, astronomy, lives, and the Jack Baskin School of Engineering. We had over 2,000 completed applications. We had over 3,000 applications started. About 1,000 students got scared off by the essays and didn't finish their application. I don't know what else they might have gotten scared off by. Those are the numbers. About a third of our students are students from low-income families, first-generation college aspirants, and students from historically marginalized groups. These are the cumulative stats, per se, not this year's stats, but the cumulative statistics through the first 15 years of the program. Let me minimize this. Oh, that's all right. 485 high schools represented so far in SIP. 1,900 SIP participants, 1,606 different students. In other words, there have been 294 instances of students coming back to SIP for a second, third, or even fourth summer. This is across the 15 years of the program. Again, we started with only 3. In 2009, we've grown to 394 in 2003. We have many returning interns and mentors. We've received generous support for the program. Students have been successful in high school science competition. There was something called the Siemens competition. It closed a few years ago. SIP used to completely dominate that competition. I think they got sick and tired of us and decided to end the competition. I don't know why, but they went away. Our students present, high school students present lead author posters at professional conferences. I've written scientific here, but they're starting to do this in other disciplines as well. Lead author posters. They are co-authors on peer-reviewed scientific journal articles. I know that's going to happen for many of our interns this year. It's happened before. And they place in some of the best colleges in the world, including UC Santa Cruz. All right. With that, I'm going to switch gears on into my PowerPoint slides and just say a little bit, just a couple more minutes about a structure that we've built over SIP. SIP itself is a program that operates over the summer, 8 weeks, 2 + 8 weeks, or 10 weeks of the summer. But we've built something above it. We've built something above it. Some of those things are year-round. Some of those things are online. And some of those things are completely free, with no money exchanging hands, with no scholarship, nothing at all. I want to say a little bit about that. What I'm talking about is the CREST umbrella of programs and initiatives. Okay, so there are 6 of us. Abby Davis is based in the UK. She's a former UCSC student who then worked at University Relations here at UCSC and now lives in the UK, but works as a contractor for us. Anand Lalria is a UCSC student, undergraduate student at UCSC, who then worked as a student for SIP, then has been employed by SIP. Lindsay Lawver was a grad advisor, department manager in astronomy, and now is the CREST associate director. Jamaica Marshall is the only person who didn't have a UCSC connection before joining SIP. She's based in Hilo, Hawaii. Jamaica grew up in Memphis and works for a program that I'm about to describe. Sierra Schneider also grew up in Tennessee, but she had a UCSC connection. She was connected to the Cosmos program before she joined SIP. This is the CREST logo that I'm very proud of. I got to design this. People have asked me, why are you writing in Japanese? No, it's not written in Japanese. It's the letter C-R-E-S-T. If you look carefully, there are 3 equal to signs in the logo, 3 of them. One of them is vertical, 2 horizontal. It includes the programs that you see under there, the science internship program that you know and recognize, but something called TSIP, CSIP, I'll describe them very briefly as we go forward. Well, what we decided to do in 2020, CREST is now 3 years old, started it in the summer of 2020, is we decided that SIP is a deep dive and it's difficult. Let's build a ramp that makes it easier for students to take this deep dive into research. By analogy with swimming, SIP is like swimming in the ocean, where the waves are choppy and you have to be a really good swimmer to trust yourself to swim there. Now, there are people to help you. There are mentors who are going to help you, going to lend a hand if they find you're going under. But let's make it easier. Let's make it so that we can make a gradual entry for students. CREST stands for Creating Equity in STEAM. Those of you who know me know I'm a crossword, Scrabble, any puzzle you can think of fan. Name anagrams, as some of you know. So CREST stands for Creating Equity in STEAM. It's a bold name because I'm not convinced that we're going to create equity in my lifetime, but we are sure as heck not going to stop trying to work towards equity in STEAM. We're doing this, trying to create equity, by engaging young people in critical thinking in the context of open-ended research while they're being mentored closely by world experts. I don't need to explain to you why critical thinking is important. You just need to look at the world around you to see how much of an erosion there has been in the importance of critical thinking, in the importance of evidence-based reasoning. You can look at the politics of this country, of the world, of India, Turkey, Israel. There's so many places where the airwaves are being jammed by people who can shout and scream, even though there's not a shred of truth to what they're saying. And you have to be a critical thinker to see through that. Critical thinking is important, not for science, not for literature, not for history, but to survive in today's world, to pick the right leaders. It starts by dipping your toes in the water. So we have a program called Shadow the Scientist. It's trying to make research, the practice of research, a spectator sport. You know, we do research, we do it by ourselves. We don't think about who can watch us and who can gain from watching us. That's what Shadow the Scientist is. It is about allowing young people to dip their toes in the water of science research or research, academic research, to see if the people who are already in the water are having fun. The people who are already in the water, are they welcoming? Do they want us with them? It's answering questions like that. We do this through something that was invented during the pandemic. During the pandemic, telescopes shut down. Nothing was operated, and when they reopened, they opened it in a mode called pajama mode observing. You didn't have to get out of your jammies to use the telescopes in Hawaii or the mountaintops in California. You didn't have to get into your street clothes. You could sit there with your laptop, as I did, and you could control telescopes on mountaintops. This gave us an opportunity. It meant young people could connect on Zoom, and they could take part in nighttime observing with a telescope. So we started to do this. In fact, a few nights ago, our research team was using the Keck 2 10-meter telescope in Hawaii, and we were studying an exotic class of galaxies in the Virgo cluster 50 million light years away. And there were children from around the world who were connecting on Zoom. It was during the day for them because they were halfway around the world. And us poor sod astronomers had to stay up in the middle of the night to operate the telescope. But this is what we call Shadow the Scientist. You know, ultimately, that spot in my couch where I sat for 3 years operating telescopes and doing literally everything developed such a big indentation that my wife decided to get rid of that couch. Before they got rid of that couch, they used to call that couch the Great Depression because of its shape. Anyway, I digress. Shadow the Scientist has had a tremendous global reach. We've reached out to various groups in the United States who've taken part in these telescope sessions. We're about to expand to microscopy, engineering, any discipline where you can find a crescendo moment in your work can be lent to people watching. We work with the AIRC at UC Santa Cruz, the American Indian Resource Center. We attend the American Indian Science and Engineering Society conferences. As Richard mentioned, we're starting to work with the Cherokee Nation. We're working with students in Hawaii. NACEF, which is a high school fair for indigenous students. SACNAS, SIP, different SIP, Society for Indigenous Physicists. How dare they take our acronym? No, I'm just kidding. And then we have outreach partners in many states in the US. As far as countries go, I won't read all the countries. Those are the countries that have taken part in Shadow the Scientists in Africa, in South Asia, Southeast Asia, Latin America, Middle East, Eastern Europe. A set of countries and locations that are lovingly referred to as the Global South. Those of you who are in the humanities know this term. Once you decide, yes, the water temperature feels right and the people look like they're having fun, and they seem welcoming, I want to go into the water. We want to teach swim strokes, and we do that through teaching a Python and research tutorial. This was started by, PR was started by one of my grad students. PR, by the way, features heavily in any Bollywood movie. It means love. But it's an acronym, Python and Research. And Recom Bio, it's Research in Computational Biology, was started by a UCSC grad student, Gio Chavez. He's originally from Brazil. He's now a postdoc in Chicago, and it's teaching R in the context of computational biology. So we take an actual paper. This is a paper that Claire wrote. We take the plots in that paper, and we try to break down how those plots are created. We remove critical lines of code, so students can put them back in to figure out how to code in Python or R. Those have been the 3 key players in Python and research. Finally, you take a deep dive in something like SIP. I won't say anything more about SIP. You've already heard a lot about SIP. But after you take a deep dive in SIP, I encourage all of you to pay it forward. Join the Global Sphere Network. This is STEM programs for high schoolers engaging in research early. Get more high school students involved. We have an Alumni Buddies program. We follow the trajectories of our alumni. We have teachers who take part in SIP so that more students of those teachers can experience research. We have a peer-to-peer college and career network, and we have community college and college students in SIP as well. Goodbyes are bittersweet. So SIP 2023 has come to an end. And I'm going to quote something that I'm going to steal, not from one person, but from 2 different people. The words that I'm about to say came from Dr. Seuss, famous American author. But I didn't find them in Dr. Seuss's books. In fact, one of our interns, Sarah Ryan herself, was giving one of the intern talks in 2019, the last time we were in person. And she was crying her eyes out as she was speaking. And at the end, she said, what did she say? This was the words from Dr. Seuss. She said, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. So that's what I'll leave you with. So, thank you very much. You are free to leave the building.